Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to our Bikes for Business panel. I'm excited to be here with 3 local speakers, 2 of which are Green Economy London members from our business sustainability program. So we've got Katie Singer from Playaway Indoor Park, Jeff Pastorius from On the Move Organics and The Root Cellar, and Emma Fabri from the City of London. So as I'm sure we'll learn from our panelists, e-bikes and cargo e-bikes can be a really effective way to boost employee wellness at work, as well as reduce transportation emissions and improve efficiencies. So we can start off with some introductions, and maybe if you don't mind just telling us a bit about who you are and how you've incorporated e-bikes or cargo e-bikes into your workplace. So we'll start with you, Katie.
Sure. Okay, so I'm Katie from Playaway Indoor Park, and in September 2022, I think it was, I saw a presentation by London Bicycle Cafe, and they were talking about how great e-bikes were for themselves. I think our traction had just donated a bunch to their employees, and I thought, oh, we have employees and we don't know how to get them to work. They spend a lot of money to get to our place business, and it's hard to retain them or get people because they don't have a way to get to work. So for me, it was like an aha moment. Let's get them some e-bikes. And at the same time, the Desjardins Spark Grants was out. So we applied and we got funding for 3 e-bikes. And now we loan them to our employees.
Amazing. And Jeff?
My name is Jeff Pastorius. I started a company called On the Move Organics in 2008, and the idea was to reinvigorate our local sustainable food shed. And shortly after starting On the Move, it's a home delivery company, so we aggregate, we go to a bunch of local farms, we bring the product into the city and we aggregate it and we deliver it to people's homes. And the business plan always included the idea of sustainable distribution. So I built a very long cargo bike out of garbage, and I used it up until the e-bike that we're now using today with a collaboration with Louise, which is a nonprofit urban apiary. It's an educational program for children and adults on sustainability through the lens of beekeeping and urban beekeeping. So our e-bike has been amazing in that it has dramatically reduced the impact on the individual biking around the city with all that weight, but it also has stimulated a lot of interest in what we're up to. So the e-bike program has been a phenomenal addition to On the Move.
I'm Emma. I work for the City of London in transportation demand management, so promoting walking, biking, transit. And last summer, from May to September, I was doing counts and engagement along the Thames Valley Parkway, and had access to vehicles, but also an e-bike. So I used the e-bike to get around to pretty much every park that I was doing engagement across London, and saved a lot of time and got to be outside and engage with people better because I was taking the trails rather than driving in traffic to get to work.
Nice. Thank you. So first question for Jeff and Katie, you both mentioned, well, Katie, you mentioned that your employees were spending a lot of money to get to and from work, and Jeff, you were using a delivery van before, or the regular bike?
Yeah.
So I'm sure in addition to employee well-being, Katie, did you notice any cost savings or your employees?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They, one employer, like up until this fall, there was 0 busing to our business. The closest bus was Oxford and Crumlin Side Road, I think. So they had to walk all the way up to Huron, even if they could bus that far. And that was just Monday to Friday. And we're busiest evenings and weekends. So there would be ride shares, carpooling, all kinds of things. But you can't get somebody for a short shift. Like 5 hours, can you come in on the fly if it's going to cost them $20, $30, $40 to come? So they just couldn't even take on that work. But the biggest benefit, so there was huge cost savings because all of a sudden they don't have to pay for anything to get to work. But on top of that, we originally wanted safe, affordable, sustainable, active transport. That was the goal. But we found there was a level of independence that comes when people can get themselves to work by themselves that they didn't have before. just being able to say, yeah, I can take that shift, I can jump on my bike, I can come in. They really appreciated that. And they come to work with smiles because they got enough exercise to get a big smile on your face, but they're not all sweaty and gross and too tired to work like they might have been on a bike, which I'm sure you can talk more about the previous bike.
Yeah, that's so originally it was the idea of sustainability using just a human-powered vehicle to get around, and that was in 2008, 2009, and the e-bikes weren't really a thing. It wasn't really an option. They existed, but they didn't exist in any sort of reasonable way. And a few years after using just human-powered 11-foot-long cargo bike, loved using it. Really proud of it, but started to look at how do we electrify this thing because it's a lot of work. It's difficult to do, and we actually experimented with building our own e-bike, and it ended up being just an absolute tank. It was way too heavy, and just the technology wasn't there. But then introducing the e-bike that we now have with the trailer system, there's two major actually benefits here in that when it was exclusively human powered, I couldn't ask anyone else to do it. I couldn't ask anyone else to bike. It was too much. It was too heavy. It was too much work. So it wasn't something that we could ask anyone to do. Now, and insurance was also a complex thing. Now with the e-bike that are more popular and more well-known and easier to use, makes it more viable for employees to be able to access and for us to be able to have help to do the bicycle deliveries and also be able to tow more cargo. So the advance that we've been able to make with the electrification of the delivery bike has been amazing, and working on the metrics, and would love to make the case that we could remove a van in place of this system. So yeah, we're hoping to do that.
Yeah, that would, well, we're working on case studies right now with Katie about their e-bike fleet. So yeah, we can definitely, we'd love to support with something like that.
The help we got from Gel a few years ago was amazing on our metrics with On the Move. So if we could do something like that again, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, we're, and then Emma, I wanted to touch a bit more on employee well-being too. And maybe if you want to just touch on kind of how e-biking, hopefully positively impacted you in your commuting?
Yeah, so I never tried an e-bike before this, last summer. So I got to learn how to ride the e-bike and then ride it around. I'm someone who avoids driving if possible, especially some of the time slots that I was doing this work was during 4 or 5 o'clock and across the city. So sitting and being part of the traffic would have caused a lot of stress. So being able to just be on the trail and be outside was really nice mentally. I wasn't dreading driving around. I could just bike. And then in terms of physical activity, I was in school and working last summer. So having the opportunity to bike around and be outside during work was a really nice opportunity.
Nice. I do want to touch on, you mentioned, Jeff, insurance, and that's something just if any of you are able to speak to, if a business wanted to consider adding e-bikes to their fleet, what kind of things would they need to prepare for? So whether it's insurance, training, certain equipment.
Do you want me to go first? Sure. So yeah, we're kind of unique in that we're not a transportation company. We just needed a way to get our employees to work. And we also couldn't ask them to buy the bikes off us, and we couldn't buy the bikes for them. So because we got this money to get the bikes, it was a loan to share the bikes with them. So we needed insurance so that if they get the bike stolen or crashed, it's not on them, it's not on us, we've got it covered. And that was a runaround because different levels of government didn't agree on if we needed a license, if we don't need a license because it's motorized, but it is motorized, no it's not. And, but we did find one company in Vancouver that was willing to do it for us. So if anyone needs that, I can help out with that. And that allows us, and we also got a contract written by a lawyer just about our agreement with them about safe handling. And that allowed us to be able to give it to them for a certain period of time, track maintenance, and then have them return them when they leave or if they move on or no longer need them. But so far, everyone that uses them just keeps using them because they love them so much. We also, a big stumbling block was the training. A lot of people haven't ridden a bike since they were a kid, or haven't navigated in a city very much. So we just had to get them on the bikes. And when we purchased the bikes, they helped a bit with that, got everyone on, taught us the hand signals, made everyone comfortable. We have a big parking lot we all practiced in, and we also had a training checklist that we made sure everyone was comfortable, because you're asking people to make a lifestyle change, not just, it's not like, here's a car. Where, okay, here's the keys to a car, and now you have a car. You're asking them to change the way they get to work and commute. And it will be for the better, at least that's been our experience. However, it is a change, and there is some learning with that you have to support in the beginning to make it successful.
Currently, it's a partner, so the bike is a partnership between Lullabies and On the Move Organics, and Lullabies is a nonprofit, and the nonprofit status has access to an insurance package that includes the insurance of the vehicle and the use of the vehicle. So On the Move is essentially renting the vehicle from Lullabies, and in the time of use, it is considered a part of the fleet of On the Move Organics, and any incident that were to occur would be considered a vehicle by the use of On the Move. So it is covered, but it's sort of the coverage is there, but it still is this sort of slightly uncomfortable gray area. But because we are with a good company, we're with the cooperators, we're very confident in it, and we're happy with the policy, and it makes sense. However, I would suggest, if you are interested, be very careful about going with sort of a very off-brand insurance policy. I suspect it will be complicated if something happens. So I would go with a name that is, trustworthy with the insurance.
Thank you. Emma, did you want to speak at all to anything, training, anything like that?
Sure. So the training was a day. I think at the city there's about 40 employees that are trained to use the e-bike for about 10 bikes. And so it's through CanBike, kind of safety and cycling skills, and then learning how to use the e-bike and, charging and how to check for problems on the bike. Rode it around the training facility, and I think now this year they've started to do road riding as well as part of the training, since, like you said, it's different if you haven't been cycling on a road. It's different than on the trails. So learning that piece as well.
Nice. And I think you both kind of already touched on this as well, but were there any challenges, Katie or Jeff, for really, I don't know, were the employees overcoming anything, I guess, to try and...
So ours are so excited to get a bike, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I have to ride it. And then it sits in their garage for 2 weeks, and you're like, okay, we got to get this going again. So yeah, it's just that buy-in. You have to give them enough training and support so that they can buy in. And a big thing now is our bikers that have been seasoned bikers, I should say, are now encouraging the new bikers to pick it up because they see how happy and easy it is. But it is a change in how you frame getting to work and the different challenges you'll face. And so, yeah, there needs to be support on that part for sure.
I do most of the bike deliveries because I enjoy it. I really enjoy it. But also, it's something that we will be building more of. And when we do have folks who are either employed or are a part of Lullabies doing any of the deliveries, we've realized that it needs to be someone who wants to do it. It's not, you can't just ask anyone to do the deliveries. It's got to be someone who's a cyclist and who is keen on the concept and believes in it, because it's work. It's a lot of hard work, and also riding on the roads is it's hard enough just as a single cyclist, let alone having all this cargo behind you. And so, yeah, the obstacles I would say would be, you basically just have to be you have to find someone who's into it, who's excited about it, and it's not hard to find. I mean, there's lots of folks who want to be a part of what we're doing. Yeah, that would be the number one thing. Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, for the last question, I just open to all three of you if there's any piece of advice you could share for either a business owner, maybe the decision maker who's considering it, employees that will be potentially riding it. Yeah, maybe do you want to start with you, Emma?
Yeah, so I was pretty excited about it. As you guys mentioned, it sometimes takes time to kind of get adjusted. So after the training, I had a chance to kind of ride around and like learn my routes before I needed to be expected to like be at those spots. So having time to just learn the trails and learn the cycle tracks. But yeah, it was fun, and it was a little bit scary at first, but getting like adjusted to like the e-bike and the throttle, it was a good chance to like see more of London and be outside in the summer. So if people are considering it but unsure, just to like give it a chance and give it a little bit of time if it is an adjustment.
Sure. If you are a big business, get some e-bikes for your employees if you can, and loan them out and see who wants them. They'll come to work with a smile and more independence and a more fit. And if you're a small business, there's funding out there, so look for it. It can be done, and it's a great way to get people to work.
That's good advice. Yeah, I would say if you're going to incorporate human-powered vehicles into your business model, you need to be personally passionate about it. There's so many benefits to it. I could go on and on about that, but what you really need to do is just be keen on it. You really have to be into it personally, because if it's something that you're doing for any other reason other than that you want to make this happen, it might not be what you need it to be. So my strong suggestion would be, if you're not personally passionate about it, maybe find someone who is and allow them to incorporate it into the business. Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. Well, thank you so much, all three of you. And yeah, maybe just if there's anyone that has questions in the audience.
Yeah, so I have a question for Katie. So when you were describing sort of what you were doing, how you provided your bikes for your employees, the first thing that came to my mind is like, oh, it's a company car to give the salespeople. Is that essentially kind of what we're talking about? It's sort of in the sense of it's a vehicle that's being provided by the employer, but rather with company cars, more like you're driving around seaplane. But in your case, you're giving these employees a company bike so they can actually get to work easier. Is that essentially the idea?
Yeah, essentially, but I'd say it's better because not only is it active and sustainable, but it's also, they don't need a license. They can use it on their personal time to do errands. We have coverage for that. We got them big panniers so they can carry things to and from work, and good locks that alarm like a million times if anyone touches it. Yeah, I just think it's the same, and they don't need a garage or a parking spot to have it. One of them folds up, they can take it up to their apartment. The other ones can stand up. They're pretty, so I'd say it's like the new way of doing a company car without all the costs and insurance for them that are associated with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a really good point, because we have limited parking around our facility as well, like on the business side of things. And the more folks that bike, it takes the pressure off those parking spaces and allows more availability for customers. So there's that, yeah, that benefit.
And imagine if there was more Lola Bees where the parking lots are.
Yeah. Open to any other locations if anyone has them.
Any other questions before we wrap up? All right. Well, thank you again. I really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks everyone for coming to the Bikes for Business panel.